Divine Krishna Personality of Swami ISKCON Weekly Founder Acharya Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Amrishapad Paramahamsa Parivrijakacharya Ashtattara Sata Srimad His Divine Krishna Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रज वृंदावन धाम की जय गोपीनाथ धाम की जय जगन्नाथ धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय यमुना माई की जय भक्तदेव की जय तुलसी महाराज की जय समावेद भक्त वृंद की जय जय गौर परमानंदे all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto chapter number 5, Narada's instruction on Srimad Bhagavatam, and now Narada is responding to the prayers of yaśo. And the intention of the prayer is to find out discrepancy that is still becoming a despondency in the heart of yaśo. And he is not satisfied even after creating so many things. So let's see, such discrepancy will be also in our heart and will never be satisfied. Because after all, even though if we are coming from a very religious, righteous and traditional background, we are still adhering the Vedic system as if it is our inheritance to perform our so-called religious practices. And there is some linkage that we cannot forget. And those who are of Indian origin, and that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also told Bharata Bhumite Janma hoy manusya janma janma sarthak kari kara bhagavata. Because they are endowed, they always say blood is thicker than water. And they must have obligation to carry out this particular function. They are familiar in one way, and if not perfectly, then discrepancy is there. And therefore, they are easily becoming corrupted by other cultures which are not according to the standard of Vedic traditions. Because a highly developed society, they still retain the oldest culture as not Egyptian, but Indo-Vedic. Indus-Valley civilization but there was a conspiracy behind it to subvert by putting Aryan invasion theory. Are you familiar with that? But it's a hoax. Even insect satellite images, they have declared that Indus civilization, Indus Valley civilization is one of the oldest civilization, and the relics and archaeology and other subjects, they are very, very astounding. Even the resources of where Jamuna river is originated, it is also a that also is being captured in insects, right? So Aryan invasion theory that was surmounted by the Westerners like Max Muller and others, they are completely hoaxed to demean the highest civilization. That in Western civilization of hedonism is the best. So here now we are trying to look into those discrepancies which were not satisfying, and yet we are now holding in high esteem Srila Prabhupada's contribution and re-establishing that direct link with the absolute truth. So let's see what Narada has to tell. Śrī Nārada uvāca.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
bhavatānudita-prāyaṁ.
Bhavatānudita-prāyaṁ.
yaśo bhagavato malam.
Yaśo bhagavato malam.
yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
Yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
manye darśanam khilam.
Manye darśanam khilam.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
bhavatānudita-prāyaṁ.
Bhavatānudita-prāyam.
yaśo bhagavato malam.
Yaśo bhagavato malam.
yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
Yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
manye darśanam khilam.
Manye darśanam khilam.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
bhavatānudita-prāyaṁ.
Bhavatānudita-prāyam.
yaśo bhagavato malam.
Yaśo bhagavato malam.
yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
Yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
manye darśanam khilam.
Manye darśanam khilam.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
bhavatānudita-prāyaṁ.
Bhavatānudita-prāyam.
yaśo bhagavato malam.
Yaśo bhagavato malam.
yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
Yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
manye darśanam khilam.
Manye darśanam khilam.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
bhavatānudita-prāyaṁ.
Bhavatānudita-prāyam.
yaśo bhagavato amalam.
Yaśo bhagavato malam.
yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
Yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
manye darśanam khilam.
Manye darśanam khilam.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
Bhavatānudita-prāyam. Yaśo bhagavato malam. Yenaivāsau tuṣyeta. Manye darśanam khilam.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
Bhavatānudita-prāyaṁ.
Bhavatānudita-prāyam.
Yaśo bhagavato malam.
Yaśo bhagavato malam.
Yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
Yenaivāsau tuṣyeta.
Manye darśanam khilam.
Manye darśanam khilam.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
Śrī Nārada uvāca.
Śrī Nārada
said,
bhavatānudita-prāyaṁ. anudita-prāyam.
Anudita-prāyam.
Almost not praised.
Almost not praised.
yaśaḥ.
Yaśaḥ.
glories.
Glories.
bhagavatāh.
Bhagavatāh.
of the personality of Godhead.
Of the personality of Godhead.
Amalam.
Amalam.
spotless.
Spotless.
Yena.
Yena.
by which.
By which.
Eva.
Eva.
certainly.
Certainly.
Asau.
Asau.
He, the personality of Godhead.
Personality of Godhead.
Na.
Does not.
tuṣyeta.
Tuṣyeta.
Be pleased.
Be pleased.
Manye.
Manye.
That.
That.
Darśanam. Philosophy. Khilam.
Inferior.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Śrī Nārada said, "You have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the Personality of Godhead. That philosophy does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless." What a strong opinion. The eternal relation of an individual soul with the Supreme Soul, Personality of Godhead, is constitutionally one of being an eternal servitor of the Eternal Master. The Lord has expanded Himself as living beings in order to accept loving service from them, and this alone can satisfy both the Lord and the living beings. Such a scholar as Vyasadeva has completed many expansions of the Vedic literature ending with Vedanta philosophy, but none of them have been written directly glorifying the Personality of Godhead. Dry philosophical speculation, even on the transcendental subject of the Absolute, have very little attraction without directly dealing with the glorification of the Lord. The Personality of Godhead is the last word in transcendental realization. Thus the Absolute, realized as impersonal Brahman or localized as the soul Paramatma, is less productive of transcendental bliss than the Supreme Personal realization of His glories. The compiler of Vedanta Sutra is Vyasadeva himself, and yet he is troubled, although he is the author. So what sort of transcendental bliss can be derived by the readers and listeners of the Vedanta, which is not explained directly by Vyasadeva, the author? Herein arises the necessity of explaining the Vedanta Sutra in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam by the self-same author. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांशं श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं श्रीजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी कृष्णानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि वाञ्छाकल्पतरुश्च नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम Śrī Nārada uvāca bhavatānudita-prāyaṁ yaśo bhagavato ऽमलम yenaivāsau tuṣyeta manye darśanam khilam. Khila and akhila. Akhila is amrita sindhu. That's what discrepancy is. Akhila means perfectly complete reservoir. There is no boundary. Is ever expanding. So, khilam means limited. Khila and akhila. So, Narada Muni is trying to pinpoint where the discrepancy is that even Vyasadeva cannot find out. Whatever the cardinal principle of our success is that if Krishna is pleased, everything is okay. But we do not know how Krishna is going to be pleased. So our spiritual master is pleased. So if Srila Prabhupada is pleased, then Krishna is pleased. But how does Srila Prabhupada is going to be pleased? Even after he left the body. Yes, his body is there, and he has already retreated everything. How to please Srila Prabhupada? If you cooperate amongst each other, that will be his pleasure. Sustain whatever I have given you, preserve it, spread it. So these are the points of satisfaction of the worship of the spiritual master who is the representative. And as ordinary devotees, if devotees are pleased, then Prabhupada will be pleased. Because that is a sign of cooperation, pleasure. Now, pleasure is satisfaction. Our contribution in ISKCON is based on this, that how do I act to please the devotees? Because that is the direct, connection with the pleasure of the Supreme via Srila Prabhupada's instruction. So, this is called axiomatic truth. So here, Narada Muni is telling Vyasadeva directly that we have not yet fully glorified alone the transcendental nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is having the quality of Sat, Chit and Ananda. You are deviating from the main purpose of writing anything about the Vedas, or the Vedas are meant to explain the Supreme. Even though in the Vedas there are no direct indication of the personality of Godhead, but yet Vedas have been developed through successive treatises. And everywhere, indirectly, the glorification of the Supreme is there, but it is not wholehearted. There are heaps of material problems, and there is little instruction about the spirituality, but does not describe the unlimited glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then it becomes wasteful effort. So, bhagavato amalam, yaśo bhagavato amalam. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is spotless. The spots yesterday we saw is due to the three modes of material nature. But opposite to, if they are cleansed, if one is cleansed of the effect of the three modes of material nature, is established at par with the Supreme Lord. So therefore, in Brahma Samhita, Brahma is advising us, Maya, yasya jagadanda satani sute, traigunya tad vishaya veda vitayamana, sattva parasattvam, vishuddha sattvam govindamadi purusham tamagana. Come, rise above. Our process is transcendental, but we do not allow the transcendence to overpower us. Rather, we subside, not now. So, our process remains mixed up, not pure. So, gradually, we have to overcome our base instincts of Rajagun and Tamogun, establishing Sattvagun. Then think about the Parasattva, means the beyond the material nature. Soul is not going to be part of it. So, you have to become at least adapting to more goodness, but overpower more goodness by entering into the Atma Tattva, or the truth about the soul. That is called Parasattva. Soul is kept pure, but we tainted it with the three modes of material nature. And then Vishuddha Sattva can be all approached. Vishuddha Sattva is the state where Lord Krishna stays. He does not compromise with other modes. He never exhibits those modes. So, a devotee has to come at par with Vishuddha Sattva level, then and then Krishna will be appearing to him. If you think, you want to have darshan and you call him anytime you want, Nam Prakasa Sarvasya Yogamaya Svabhata. He wants us. And I'm not exposed to anybody and everybody. I cover myself. 2 days back we heard that word he is not exposed to anybody and everybody. Savai bhavan veda samasta duhyam upasito yat purusha purana. Most confidential. Vyasadeva knows about that Krishna does not expose it to anybody and everybody. And samasta duhyam means it's the most confidential of all the confidential matters. So, but there is glory, but in all the Vedic literature, he has not explained it to that extent. So, indicating that Vyasadeva has not yet satisfied because he is literary incarnation. So, he has not glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the fullest extent. So, therefore, this is indicating that here lies your despondency, that unless and until you glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any reservation, because he is the only one to be glorified. He is the only one. And this glorification has been done in Uttama Sloka, means choicest poetry. And who can glorify with Uttama Sloka? Kaha Uttama Sloka Gunanu Vardhan Pavan Vidachi Vina Pashurman. In Bhagavatam, all these subject matters have been dealt to remind that you can't mess around with Krishna and his transcendental glories. You can't add your sentiments which are overpowered by the three modes of material sahajiya, sentimental. They do not know the transcendental glories, they think he is one of them and is most lovable, therefore only Krishna is worshipped, they want to become Radharani themselves. Replacement. And our discipline, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that if you worship Krishna alone, reject him, don't associate with him, because he is an offender of Radharani. Reject him. Don't associate with him. There are many organizations under different so-called sampradayas. They go after Radha or go after Krishna alone. They want to separate out. Prabhupada was not able to tolerate this. Even in the temple, they should be together. Don't put them at distance. So the transcendental glories is there behind. And those who are conversant with, they are very mindful. Because we do not need those discrepancies which are created by the effect of the three modes of material nature. You can't let it enter in the process of transcendence. So, more we get purification by the practice, more we will be able to realize this factor, and then we'll be able to glorify unlimitedly. Jare Katare Kaha Krishna Upadesh. Do you think this Upadesh is material? No. It does not apply to the material nature. Krishna is so much direct because he is sitting in our heart as Paramatma, the closest living entity, the supreme living. And we are defooling him. We don't want to pay any attention to the source of our consciousness. We don't want to pay any attention. They say, it's like, oh, you receive money and go away with, as if it's a stolen thing, grab. Thank you very much, Krishna. Let me enjoy it. Don't interfere. That is the kind of material nature is. And we do not give any credence, which is spotless, to Lord Krishna. It's always tainted. So with that kind of attitude, Vyasadeva was emphasizing in all the Vedic literature how to be righteous, how to be, stay in the mode of goodness so you can practice the yajna, dana, tapa, kriya in different ages. All these things are there, but they are purifying at a certain extent. But the soul doesn't get purified. For that, even in the Satya Yuga, the holy name was only available after great austerities, after sacrifices, and after profuse charity in the temple worship in Vancouver. Here the temples are struggling, even in this world. So Kali Yuga is only dependent on the holy name. And Prabhupada said we should have temple, but it's for propagating the holy name. So transcendental nature is to be realized and established and propagated properly. Therefore the books are basis, preaching is the essence, purity is the force, and utility is the principle. Utility is the last thing. But primary thing because we do not need to be overpowered by material nature and then try to make what we call cash management. So sober devotees are needed, those who can keep the sanity of our process. And how he is taking such so-called fault finding in all this benevolent activity that he has done. Oh, how could he do? No, there is no Vyasadeva is understanding properly. So by behavior, mode of goodness, he has overpowered so many things. He got empowerment from Krishna to describe simply 60,000 verses on one particular aphorism, Janmadhyasya. So there's tremendous faith is there, but still it is done only until there's glorification of the soul alone. Then and then it can be done. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the product after this instruction, not prior to that. We say Vyasadeva is compiler of 18 Puranas, but no, up till now 17 Puranas were done. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us that this literature is spotless Purana. No spots of three modes of material nature. And Vyasadeva wrote after perfect maturity. Perfect maturity, he was able to glorify the Supreme alone. It is not only his glorification is there, the 12 Mahajanas are glorifying. They have the authority on the transcendental literature. So, it's not that Vyasadeva was all alone by himself, no. Swayam Gunāda Shambhu Kumar Kapilo Mano Pralada Janaka Bhishma Vedavyasapriya Vayam. All these 12 Mahajanas, this realization of the spotlessness of the Supreme Absolute Truth is there. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless glorification of the devotees of Lord Krishna, while Bhagavad Gita is the spotless glorification by the Lord Himself. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya means the life force. Charitra means the character. Amritam and deathless creation. So it applies to everybody of us. How do we get purified? And Prabhupada said Chaitanya Charitamrita is a postgraduate study. Understand the troubles of the Vedic literature. It has been conclusively dealt with in Srimad Bhagavatam. That there are no effects of three modes of material nature, sattva, rajagun, tamo, ever to be found in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the credence to the Srimad Bhagavatam ऽmlam. He gave 5 things for us to be guided. So if you want to go back home back to Godhead, then you worship Ārādhyastanaya Brajendra Nandana. You should worship Nanda Maharaj's son. That is Vrindavan. You can't worship Krishna or think about him, Mathura or Dwarka, or even anywhere else. If you want to go back home, back to Godhead, then Ārādhyastanaya Brajendra Nandana. Tadhama Vrindavan, where he played the childhood pastimes, is Vrindavan. So, you try to understand the transcendental nature of his activity. Is not he saying in Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Chakya Divyam, Evam Vyaktiyo Tattvatā, Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma, Naiti Mamiti Sorjam. So we have to also give up the bodily conception and then we'll be able to enter. So, what is the guarantee that we'll be able to give up the bodily connection? Follow four regulative principles. They give guarantee of liberation. No meditating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. There are four regulative principles. They give us guarantee of liberation. But what is after liberation? The Holy Name will take you all the way back home, back to God. Because we chant principal names of Lord Krishna, that is Krishna and Rama, they are of the power. Nobody knew them by other names. Nobody knew him in Rama, his Vasudeva Sutta. No way. His Rajendra. So, Aradhyastanaya Brajendra Nandana Tadhamam Vrindavan Ramya Kajit Upasana Brajapadur Vargajam Jatravita. If you want to perform devotional service, then follow in the footsteps of the glories. But that is pie in the sky. We are struggling with the regulatory principle, and the third is Ramya Kajit. How are we able to get into the mood of serving like gopis, which is of the spontaneous spirit? More than spontaneous. Because even Krishna cannot reach. He accepted the defeat there. So, all this is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Puranam. Then, what is the fifth one? Prema Pumartha Maha. Achieving love of Godhead is the highest, then moksha. Because pure devotional service starts after moksha, not before that. So, all these things are to be narrated. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exposed this because his Lord Shri Krishna and Radharani combined together. So glorification of the Srimad Bhagavan himself should be at such an extent that it does not involve ever the material feelings. Attraction is there, but it is overpowering our sentiments. Not sentiment should overpower the purity of Lord Krishna. So, there is a proper guidance in disciplic succession about it. So here we are engaged in the process that Srila Prabhupada brought, which is said to be perfect. Prabhupada said in humble state, I may not be perfect, but the process I follow is perfect. Can anybody challenge Brahma Madhva Gauriya Sampradaya, that is the unbroken chain of disciplic succession? Others cannot even pull through. Even though the recognition of the other three sampradayas are there by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he took two important things in order to support his Achintya Vedavyasapriya also being. And that is referring to Navadvip Mahatmya, and these glories are there. So, to represent that unbroken chain of disciplic succession, we have been even extended ourselves as the main branch, healthy branch coming out apart from Bhagavatam. We have connections, but to fulfill the obligation of the glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he forecasted to spread the holy name throughout the world in every town and village. Right? So you can see, we do not say anything else other than the glories of Krishna as it is described by our acharyas. This is called amnaya or sato bhakti that we are supposed to cultivate in utsaha, nishchaya, dhairya, tattva karma pravartana, asamgatyago sato bhakti. Prabhupada explains what is sato bhakti. You should have inclination to follow our predecessor acharyas. Always remain in connection. Never try to break off. Oh, they are so great souls, I cannot have time to read Bhagavatam. They have not deviated, and Prabhupada has not deviated. So, you don't have your misuse of mind and independence of restricting yourself. This kind of excuses are there, and oh, Prabhu, you can do, but I cannot do. Oh, Prabhu, I don't know. There are no bars, no restrictions. It is only restrictions are with tight knots of what they call Hriday Granthi. Then we have other ulterior motivation. So, they are actually products of the lower modes of material nature. So, Prabhupada put up the perfect regimen or the discipline of getting rid of the material disease, by strictly following the four regulative principles and overcome all other competitors. Then and then we'll be able to come to the platform that is safe and to help it expedite and understand. But there is in return, there is no other parallel literature ever written by anybody else in other sampradayas. You don't find. There are sadhus, they steal from Rupa Goswami and they quote Rupa Goswami. But there are sadhus in their station. He was expert that Kripalu, you know Kripalu? He was expert, he was telling himself to be avatar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he was quoting Rupa Goswami. Alright? He used that because nobody can mess around with the principles of bhakti. And Rupa Goswami exposed on basis of the Narada Pancharatra and other original literatures of bhakti. Bhakti Sutra, Narada Bhakti Sutra. But anyway, you won't find even parallel literature. Everybody, for Vrindavan, how many apasampradayas are there? Spotless glorification, they are not doing. Mayavadis. They construe different stories which may not be in the Shastra. But they can easily say, oh, these are aprakat leelas. Only now the prakat leelas. Prakat means manifested pastimes. But in Vrindavan, they are always aprakat leela also. Along with prakat leela. It's very astonishing that Sanatana Goswami put in Bhagavatam that Lord Krishna is fond of playing Kali and Madan often in global power. Even though he chastised one time, that's not him. He loves to chastise often. You know? And it has powerful effect. But the idea is that the highest ecstasy, which is reciprocated by the Lord Shri Krishna, is in the separation of gopis. And that is very intricate to understand, very, very difficult that way. So ordinarily, people are advised not to enter into those things which are feared by the angels to trade. We have to grow simultaneously. The glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam is itself told repeatedly. If we say in the first chapter itself, Sutta Goswami is the definition of bhakti, savaitusam, parodhamo yato bhakti radokshite, ahetuki apratiyadaya yaśaḥ. This is even a conclusive answer to Vyasadeva's despondency. The highest occupation, the supreme occupation, dharma for all humanity is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service and to the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So, the glorification of Bhagavatam. Tad Bhagavastu visargo janatanda viplavo yasmin prota. Pratishlokam abadhavata namani anantasya yaśo ankitani prat sharvanti gayanti smaranti sadhava. On that literature which describes the transcendental qualities, that it is being always heard properly, repeatedly by the purified people. And then, on the other behalf, however, the literature is so much compiled with a lot of eulogies and flowery language, but doesn't contain the glorification of the Supreme Lord, is like, the literature which is enjoyed by the crows. By the crows. So, all this conclusive aspect has been already told before. Alright? But unless and until Vyasadeva becomes an example himself to get the personal chastisement that even we can fail if he is failing, but the failure is not like material failure. This failure is considered to be a very important progressive step. When spiritual master finds fault with us, then chastises us. In America, they're calling it, oh, Prabhupada gave a sauce to him. If you are a receptacle of a sauce from Srila Prabhupada, you are so lucky. And it becomes a celebration for the devotees. Hey Prabhu, you got sauce. And the sauce is transcendental, and Prabhupada corrects. So it says, if somebody is chastised, then it is a day of celebration. And they are so lucky. We are waiting to get sauce, but Prabhupada is not telling us anything. It doesn't mean you are righteous or you are okay. No. So learn by the example. If Vyasa gets the source from Narada Muni, why not? We should receive, but don't make it deliberate. Ignorance is no excuse, but at the same time deliberately act and simply to get the source, you will be before. Maya is so strong. Because our senses are incomplete. Aware, yes, we are incomplete. We become illusioned, alright? We make mistakes and we cheat. We cheat. Just to keep the ego high, we cheat, keep on cheating. So like that. And these four deficiencies will not allow us to make perfect because they are material deficiencies. But in spirituality, there is no deficiency, and spirituality is resting upon glorification of the Supreme Lord. So to detect such deficiency, we should accept the preaching methods. Go out, Jagadeka Karika Krishna Upadesh, that is spiritual in nature. However it may be faulty, doesn't matter. You will get fixed up. But have the courage. Whatever you little know, we have tried to disseminate. Prabhupada would give the example of that Saraswati Mandi's daughter, little bit, right? She was hardly 3-year-old. She used to play around Srila Prabhupada in the open earth. And one time an old man, she was do you know Krishna? The gentleman said, no. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. The little girl said, and Prabhupada says, look, this is pure preaching. Just repeat after me. You don't have to construe anything. Yeah, and you will be relieved. So Prabhupada doesn't want any interpolation or a slightest change of the word. Prabhupada said it will create a big havoc. Preach it as it is. Prabhupada said about that there are 500 editions, but the author has conveyed their own perception and meaning, overriding Krishna's perception. So they are not monophonic, they are Mayavadis. So there was a need of a devotee's perception in conveying what Krishna really wants. You can't interpolate or misinterpret. As it is. The word as it is was very, very much pinpricking. Oh, what is this as it is? What is this as it is? But when you read, you will not be able to challenge Srila Prabhupada's understanding of as it is. we have not got any kind of a critical, a desperate, defeating, commentary on the Prabhupada's literature. Yeah, well, people appreciate, those who are learned scholars, they appreciate. And it was in behavior of Srila Prabhupada, they observed. And Prabhupada was teaching to his disciples, they also observed that however zombies they were, zombies are transited from hippies to gentlemen. So, the transition is there. And these scholars like Thomas Hopkins and Larry Sheen and one from Toronto also, I forgot his name. But these are so experts who study the Bhagavatam, who study Śrī Nārada. So one must retain to the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is always spoken in choicest words. Choicest words. So, who will not be able to do that? Unless he is the killer of the soul. Everybody will be able to do it. Everybody